Well, welcome again to another one of my podcasts. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about pruning to thrive. Years ago, I used to garden, but as I got older, there were a lot of things I could not do, and gardening was one of them. That's what happens when you get old. You have to quit doing things. But there are a lot of things that I can do yet, so I'm thankful for that. But I remember when I was gardening years ago, I could remember planting some plants that needed to be pruned back. Like, for example, my grapevines. I remember the first year I planted them. They got vines, and you know, there was no fruit on them though. Well, I pruned them all the way back at the end of the year, and the next year I had a few grapes. So as we got into the fall months, again, I pruned them all the way back, and the following year I had more grapes. So each year that I pruned them back, the following year they bore more fruit. Well, I could remember there's a plant called a Russian sage, and it's a very beautiful sage. It has a kind of a purplish blue flower on it, and I marveled at the bush, how colorful it was. And sometimes you see this growing wild, uh, but I think that's because the birds get the seeds. But I just marvel at watching a bumblebee light on them and get the nectar. And what happened with my grapevines is as years went on and I couldn't prune them back anymore, they just kind of quit bearing fruit. And the fruit that was on it were real tiny grapes. Uh, they were so small that, well, the birds loved them, put it that way, but they weren't nothing that a human could use. And what had happened is the birds, from eating these grapes, and they had seeds in them. They weren't seedless grapes. And what happened was the birds' droppings would be falling all over the yard. And before I knew it, I had grapevines growing all over the place. Kind of what happened with my squash one time that went wild. And I noticed that the fruit on it was very, very small, no matter where they grew, because they weren't taken care of. They weren't pruned. So I just want to talk to you about every branch that does not bear fruit. He, the Lord, prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. And that's right out of John 15:2. In fact, why don't we just read that scripture? I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit is taken away, and every branch that does bear fruit is pruned, that it may bear more fruit. Already you are clean because of the word that I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me, and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is thrown away like a branch that withers, and the branches are gathered up and thrown down into the fire and burned. If you abide in me, and my word abides in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be full. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. What beautiful words. And these are direct from the Lord. The Lord has given us this wonderful scripture, and it really tells us that if you want to bear fruit for the Lord, you have to abide in the vine. And Christ is the vine, and his Father is the vine dresser. Something to remember today. So as we go on with our day-to-day, just remember to abide in the Lord. And we are to love one another. And I do this podcast every chance I get to show my love for everyone out there. I want us all to grow in the grace and the knowledge of the Lord. And the only way we do that is by reading his word and growing. Feed on his word. And it says that you are already clean because of the word that I have spoken to you. Well, the Lord was speaking to his disciples, but these words are written for our use as well. We are to understand that Christ not only died for them and cleansed them by his word, but we are also cleansed by his word because Christ died for us. With that, just keep this in mind today as you go about your business. And just remember, the Lord loves you. And I'll end this podcast. Have a great day. Until next time.